Your Ford doesn't hate winter. Winter absolutely hates your Ford. Every year it's the same story. Cold starts that feel rougher than usual. Batteries that act brand new one day and then are completely dead the next. Doors that freeze shut. Windows that will not roll down. That tire pressure light that pops on the first cold morning as if it has been waiting all year. And almost every time, owners chalk it up and say, "That's just winter." But here's the truth most people never hear. Winter problems are not random, and they are not inevitable. They are predictable. If you know a few Ford-specific tricks, you can completely change how your truck or SUV behaves when the temperature drops. I am not talking about expensive parts or dealership-only tools. I am talking about simple habits that prevent the most common winter failures I see on Fords, especially F-150s, Explorers, Escapes, Rangers, Expeditions, and Super Duties. Because the difference between a Ford that struggles and a Ford that thrives in winter is not luck. It is preparation. Some of these tricks take 5 minutes, some take 30 seconds, and one of them can prevent you from being stranded in your driveway on the coldest morning of the year. These are not generic winter tips you have heard 1,000 times. These are practical Ford-specific tricks most owners never use correctly. By the end of this video, winter will not feel like a fight anymore. Let's start with the easiest winter headache that causes more panic than it should: tire pressure. Every winter Ford owners see that tire pressure warning and immediately assume a nail, a leak, or a bad sensor. Most of the time, the tires are fine. The air is the problem. Cold air contracts. For every 10-degree drop in temperature, your tire pressure drops roughly 1 pound per square inch. So if you filled your tires in mild fall weather, and then the temperature drops 30 or 40 degrees overnight, your tires can lose enough pressure to trigger the warning light without losing a single molecule of air. But here is the trick that makes this problem disappear for the entire season. Do not set your tire pressure in a warm garage. Do not set it right after driving. Those are the two most common mistakes. Warm tires read higher pressure, and then the moment the tires cool down outside, they drop and trigger the light again. The correct method is to set pressure when the tires are truly cold, meaning they are at the same temperature as the outdoor air. Drive your Ford for 10 minutes, park it outside, and let it sit long enough to cool fully. Then set pressure to the door sticker spec, not the sidewall max. Once you do this properly, you will notice the warning light stops appearing randomly, your handling in winter improves, your traction control does its job more predictably, and your tires wear evenly instead of scrubbing themselves unevenly all winter long. Now let's talk about a feature people love in winter, but almost everyone uses wrong: remote start. Most Ford owners remote start the truck and let it idle for 10 or 15 minutes because they think they're doing the engine a favor. It feels logical. Let it warm up before you drive. That's what people did in older vehicles, but modern Ford engines, especially turbocharged EcoBoost motors, do not benefit from long idle warm-ups. In fact, extended cold idling can make things worse. At idle, the engine does not heat up efficiently, fuel does not burn as cleanly, moisture builds up inside the crankcase, and over time this contributes to carbon buildup and oil contamination. It also leaves your transmission and drivetrain cold and stiff while the engine is the only thing warming. The winterproof trick is simple. Use remote start as a head start, not a full warm-up. Start the truck, let it run for 60 to 90 seconds, then drive gently. That's it. Keep RPM low, keep throttle light, and let the whole vehicle come up to temperature together. When you do it this way, you get cabin heat sooner, you get smoother shifting sooner, and you reduce the wear that comes from idling cold for long periods. If you want to be extra smart about it, don't blast the heater immediately at full fan. Let the engine build some real heat first, then turn the fan up. That brings us to the next trick. Your climate control strategy in winter can either help your Ford or slow it down. The common habit is to crank the heat to max and blast the fan on high the moment you start the vehicle. It feels like you are forcing warm air out faster, But what you are actually doing is pulling cold air through the heater core faster than it can heat, which delays cabin warm-up and can cause the windshield to fog more aggressively. On many Fords, especially SUVs, blasting cold air at high fan speed early can make it feel like the heater is weak, when in reality, the engine has not built enough heat yet. Here is the trick. Start with moderate temperature and low fan speed. Let the engine temperature needle rise a little. Once the coolant is warming, then increase fan speed. You will get warmer air faster. You will avoid that frustrating lukewarm forever feeling, and you will reduce strain on the blower motor and resistor. Those blower issues show up every winter because people run the fan at max constantly, and cold air moisture does not help those electrical components. Now we need to talk about the single most common winter failure point on modern Fords: the battery. Cold weather does not just drain batteries, it exposes weak batteries instantly. A battery that barely survives summer will not survive winter. On modern Fords, battery voltage affects everything, starting of course, but also how modules communicate, how sensors behave, even how smoothly the transmission shifts. Low voltage can trigger warning messages that look like major failures, when the real issue is simply the battery dipping too low during startup. Winter-proofing your battery starts with a basic truth most people ignore. If your battery is over 3 years old and you live in a cold climate, you should treat it as a winter risk. Batteries do not die on schedule, but cold makes the weak ones collapse. The trick is to reduce unnecessary drain and make sure the battery is actually healthy going into winter. Go into your vehicle settings and turn off features you do not need, like extended accessory power or anything that keeps electronics alive longer than necessary. If you have constant 12-volt outlets that stay powered, be careful what you leave plugged in. Dash cams, chargers, and cheap accessories can slowly drain a battery overnight, and that drain matters a lot more when temperatures drop. If your Ford has auto start-stop, pay even more attention. That system is brutally dependent on battery health. A weak battery can mean rough restarts, strange hesitation, or the system disabling itself and showing warning messages. A battery replacement before winter is not extra, it is prevention. One battery is cheaper than a tow, cheaper than diagnosing fake electrical issues, and cheaper than that moment you are late to work and your truck will not even crank. Now here is a winter hack almost nobody does, and it makes a ridiculous difference. Lubricate your door seals and latches. Frozen doors are not just annoying, they can tear weather stripping, snap handles, and bend frames because people yank harder and harder when nothing opens. Ford seals are durable, but repeated freeze and stick cycles shorten their life and create air leaks that make the cabin noisier and colder over time. Use a silicone-based lubricant, not grease, not WD-40. Silicone is safe for rubber. Apply a thin layer to the rubber door seals, tailgate seals, and even the hood seal. Then spray a small amount into the door latches. This prevents moisture from freezing inside the latch mechanism and keeps doors opening smoothly even after freezing rain. If you want to level this up, do the same on the fuel door latch if your model has one, because yes, those freeze too, and people end up prying them open. Now we move into the second half, where winter driving habits really separate the people who feel confident from the people who feel like they are constantly sliding around. Drive modes matter in winter more than almost any other time of year. Leaving your Ford in sport mode on snow or ice is basically telling the truck to give aggressive throttle and quick response while traction is at its worst. That is how you spin tires and activate traction control non-stop. Eco mode is not much better in snow because it dulls throttle so much that the vehicle can struggle to maintain momentum, especially in deeper snow. Momentum matters in winter. Too little throttle and you bog down, too much throttle and you spin. If your Ford has a snow or slippery mode, use it. That mode is designed to smooth throttle input, start in higher gears, and recalibrate traction and stability control to keep the vehicle stable and predictable. It is not just a gimmick, it changes how the vehicle behaves in ways you can actually feel, especially at slick intersections and on highway ramps. If your vehicle does not have a dedicated snow mode, use normal mode and drive with smooth inputs. The goal is consistent traction, not sharp response. Now let us talk about auto start-stop, because winter is when this feature becomes a liability. In cold temperatures, engine oil is thicker, batteries are weaker, and starters are under more stress. Auto start-stop shuts the engine off at stoplights and restarts it repeatedly. The fuel savings are tiny, but the wear adds up fast. Cold starts are the hardest starts, and auto start-stop can turn one cold start into 15. The winter-proof trick is simple. When it is below freezing, turn auto start-stop off. One button press. That is it. Your starter, battery, and engine will thank you over time. You'll also avoid the annoying hesitation when the engine restarts and you're trying to pull into traffic quickly on slick roads. Another winter trick most people ignore is keeping the fuel tank above half full. This is not about being afraid of running out of gas. It is about condensation. Cold temperatures cause moisture to form inside the fuel tank, especially when the tank has a lot of empty space. That moisture can freeze, disrupt fuel delivery, and cause rough running or hesitation. Some people experience weird stumbles or even warning lights in extreme cold because water contamination becomes ice at the worst time. Keeping the tank above half reduces the airspace where condensation forms and helps keep fuel delivery consistent. On turbo engines and direct injection setups, consistent fuel quality matters. Now let us hit windshield washer fluid, because this one causes more winter panic than it deserves. People top off their washer fluid with winter-rated fluid and assume they are good. Then the first cold morning hits, and the washer does not spray at all. Why? Because the old summer fluid is still sitting in the lines and nozzles. The tank might have winter fluid, but the system still has the old stuff trapped in the plumbing. The trick is to flush it through before temperatures drop. Fill the tank with winter fluid, then spray until you are sure the new fluid has reached the nozzles. You will know because the spray pattern and smell usually change. Clean your windshield and wiper blades with isopropyl alcohol. This removes greasy film that causes streaking and prevents wipers from gliding smoothly. Winter driving with a dirty windshield is like driving with fogged glasses. You can technically do it, but it is stressful and dangerous. The final trick is the one that saves people every single winter. Key fob prep. Cold weather drains weak fob batteries quickly. A key fob that worked yesterday can die today when temperatures drop sharply. If you have never practiced your backup plan, that dead fob becomes a nightmare. Replace the fob battery before winter. It costs almost nothing and eliminates a common winter emergency. Locate the mechanical key blade hidden inside your fob and practice removing it once. Ford put that blade there for a reason. The moment you need it is never a warm, sunny afternoon. It is always when you are freezing, you are late, and the door will not unlock. If your Ford has push-button start, learn the emergency start procedure for a dead fob. Many Fords have a designated spot in the console or near the steering column where you can place the fob so the vehicle can read it, even with a dead battery. Knowing that location turns a stressful moment into a simple workaround. When you actually use these tricks, winter stops feeling unpredictable. Your Ford starts easier, shifts smoother, warms faster, doors open, washer fluid sprays, warning lights stay off. Most winter problems aren't caused by the cold itself. They're caused by owners using summer habits in winter conditions. Make these adjustments once, build them into your routine, and your Ford will feel like it was engineered for winter instead of constantly fighting it. If this helps you, make sure you're subscribed, because next, we're breaking down the biggest winter mistakes that quietly destroy Ford engines without owners ever realizing it.